Members of the press, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I am here with my dear colleague, His Excellency Dr. Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs of India. We have had excellent discussions over the last 2 days, and I want to thank him most sincerely for finding time from his busy schedule to come to Kenya and to co-chair the third session of the Kenya-India Joint Commission meeting. Now, before I read the joint statement that sets out the nature of the work that we have undertaken over the past 2 days, I'm going to ask my dear colleague to make some remarks and give you his impressions of the engagements that we've had. You have the floor, my colleague.
Thank you, Excellency, friends from the media. First of all, let me thank the Cabinet Secretary and through her, the Government of Kenya for the hospitality, for the warm welcome, for the very productive, useful discussions we've had in the last few days. As you know, I'm here for the meeting of the Joint Commission, and we've just concluded that. It's a very substantive, very productive meeting that we've had. I also, during my visit, had an opportunity to call on His Excellency the President for his guidance of our relationship, to see how he would like to take that forward. I carried a letter from Prime Minister Modi to him, which I handed over. This morning we had a very useful meeting with many of your colleagues, Excellency, the other Cabinet Secretaries who are dealing with different aspects of our relationship. And I think that was very helpful in putting together, I would say, in updating, refreshing our agenda and giving it many more areas of interest and energy. From His Excellency the President, I particularly heard his strong interest in expanding our business-to-business cooperation and people-to-people cooperation. And I assured him that that is exactly what is the thinking of my Prime Minister as well. And a lot of what we had discussed in the Joint Commission focuses on these particular domains. We've also discussed at some length our development cooperation, both in terms of projects and capacity building. I think the India-Kenya friendship in many ways is an exemplar when it comes to South-South cooperation. So we are very proud of what we have done together, especially since the visit of Prime Minister Modi here 5 years ago. I had a very insightful discussion with the Cabinet Secretary on regional issues. We are both serving on the UN Security Council right now. We have a very good working relationship in New York, but I think on a lot of issues that are on the agenda of the Security Council, it was very good to hear from you. So overall, I would say, whether it was our bilateral cooperation, different facets of it, the context of the South-South collaboration, that is so much an expression of our historical solidarity, and in terms of our global interests, our regional concerns. This has been a very useful visit. I carry away not just good memories. There is a lot that I saw, but there is a lot that I learned during this visit. And I certainly, I'm very confident that our relationship will be stronger as a result. And I hope we can continue our conversations in the days to come.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for those kind and warm remarks. We really appreciate your visit to Kenya over the past 3 days. I will now read the official joint statement that sets out the work that has been done over the past few days. Much of what I will say will just echo the very clear words that have already been very aptly articulated by His Excellency and our dear colleagues. So may I begin by saying that during the visit, His Excellency and I held bilateral consultations at which we hailed the cordial and historic relations between our two countries and underpinned our common values and strong people-to-people links dating back many centuries. We positively noted the mutual desire to expand bilateral cooperation under the Kenya-India Joint Commission framework. This underscores our commitment to play a greater role in the regional and global context. During our discussion, we agreed to continue to strengthen our relations through structured and systematic engagements. The challenging circumstances of COVID-19 has made us only more resolute in trying to ensure the strength of our relationship. Cognizance of the travel challenges due to the pandemic, both sides welcomed increased bilateral engagement, either physically or virtually, on issues of mutual interest in order to maintain momentum in relations. We deliberated on the impact of COVID-19 globally and regionally and called for joint efforts to combat the disease, as well as to consolidate economic collaboration during the pandemic and the post-COVID-19 period. We emphasized the need for equitable and affordable access to vaccine and ensuring treatment for all. During the deliberations, our colleague and Excellency, the External Affairs Minister of India, informed that India's approach to enhancing Kenya-India relations is guided by 10 principles in their engagement with Africa, as enunciated by Prime Minister Modi in July 2018. Africa's priorities would continue to be the paramount factor in our bilateral cooperation. Accordingly, His Excellency recognized the Big Four agenda of Kenya on manufacturing, affordable housing, universal healthcare, and food security, and underlined that India will further build upon its partnership, taking these issues into account. Both sides reiterated their strong commitment to South-South cooperation and expressed confidence that our bilateral partnership would be an exemplar in this regard. We also reviewed bilateral development cooperation and agreed to work together to enhance partnership through exploring further opportunities, both in the government and private sector, in the areas of health, environment, ICT, tourism, higher education, automation, defense, and security. Kenya and India acknowledged the recent rise in bilateral trade and noted the potential to further increase trade volumes and values. We agreed that diversification of trade and new domains of cooperation would be in keeping with our closer partnership, and specific steps in this regard will be discussed at a forthcoming Joint Trade Committee meeting, which will hopefully be held in Delhi. It was noted that India is one of Kenya's leading sources of foreign direct investment. Kenya welcomed further investments from the Indian private sector, particularly in manufacturing, agro-processing, pharmaceuticals, automobile production, and affordable housing. In the health sector, both sides welcomed the ongoing discussions on establishing joint ventures in the pharmaceutical manufacturing sphere, and noted that this would contribute to increasing provision of affordable drugs. We agreed to explore prospects for further enhancement of cooperation in health delivery. We also agreed to explore areas of cooperation in the environmental and forestry sectors, including green growth, forest resource management, solid and water waste management, climate and smart agricultural value chains. The Kenyan side expressed appreciation for India's continued support in the education sector through the provision of scholarships, capacity building courses, and infrastructure development, and India's commitment to consider increasing the number of scholarships afforded to Kenyans based on our national priorities. As maritime neighbors, India and Kenya recognize the importance of ensuring through shared endeavors greater security, safety, and prosperity of the Indian Ocean region. We also noted that terrorism in all its forms and manifestations are a common threat to humanity. Therefore, we agreed that enhancement and sharing of capabilities and awareness were of mutual interest. The appropriate institutions of both our countries will explore expanding cooperation in this regard. Kenya and India also expressed satisfaction with their ongoing collaboration in the United Nations Security Council that will endure throughout 2021 and 2022. We affirmed our commitment to a rules-based multilateral system and underlined the important role of the United Nations in addressing global challenges. The two sides also held extensive exchanges on global and regional issues, including the security situation in the Indo-Pacific region and the Horn of Africa. We expressed concern at the growing radicalization and increase in international terrorism and violent extremism in parts of Africa and Asia. Kenya appreciated the Minister of External Affairs' friendly gesture of participating in the inauguration of the newly renovated Mahatma Gandhi Memorial Library at the University of Nairobi, which was undertaken through the generous financial support of the Indian government. The Indian delegation expressed its appreciation for the warm hospitality accorded to them since their arrival in Kenya. And finally, we agreed that the fourth meeting of the Joint Commission will be held in India at a date to be agreed upon through diplomatic channels. End of statement, and we thank you for your kind attention.